All right, it is Thursday. We are live. We're going to be working again on our tissue paper sunrise here. Hope everybody's had a good week so far. Hope you've had a good day. And we're going to see if we can get the glue bottles to cooperate. Sometimes it's a little more cooperative than others. So for this one, I just kind of did a painted out really quick, super basic uh, under painting for where I wanted colors to go. It's not going to look exactly like our inspiration photo there on the screen, but you know, it'll sort of have the same vibe to it. And then we take some tacky glue, put it down, and glue some papery bits into place, and we'll paint up the edges, and then we'll seal everything in Mod Podge, and we'll be looking good. Probably won't be done this today. We are going to need at least one more session. Granted, depends on how far we get today, but really don't foresee that, because we still have to do the silhouetted foliage. There's gonna be some sirens going by here in just a minute, just so you're aware. In case they bleed through the microphone. Sometimes they do. So this is just tacky glue. You can just apply it directly to the canvas if you want, or whatever surface you are gluing onto. If that works better for you. I like putting it in something and then putting it onto the canvas. I feel like I've got a little bit more control that way for how much glue is being dispensed. And this is just regular old gift wrap tissue paper. Nothing special about it. You know, wherever you can get the colors of tissue paper that you're looking for. That's probably the hardest part of all of this, is tracking down tissue paper in the colors that you want. I had to sift through Amazon and figure out who I wanted to order from. Did you have the right color and in the right quantity I need? And then it's like, oh, well, here's a multi-pack with multiple of the same colors that I could use. Is it enough, though, for my project? Or do I need to buy the individual packs of color? So picking out and tracking down all of the tissue paper was probably the no, it one of the more tedious parts of it. that I file under project prep. Not necessarily for this. This is leftover tissue paper that I had from the big 3x4 foot canvas that we tissue papered last year. I was like, you know what? This stuff's just sitting here. Spent the money on it. I really should try to do something else with what I've got left over. Not planning on doing another gigantic canvas, though. No thanks. I'm good. I'm good. I actually don't have anywhere to put another gigantic canvas right now. And if we should happen to move, I've already got one. I've got to try to figure out how to transport carefully. Which I think is going to be quite the challenge. Probably involving a lot of bubble wrap and a lot of some sort of cling film. Because this isn't, I spent so much time on that. It's not really one that I want to give away. Just laying in the glue there, trying to figure out where it's gonna go. And I have a little cup of water here to rinse out my glue brush. Now, it's not a special brush for glue that I am using, it's just a older paintbrush that I'm okay if something happens to it. And we are sacrificing it to the tacky glue gods. Alright. So let me put that little bit over there. Good job. Good job. That's my fault. Good job. Okay. And this one in here. Don't be afraid to trim your tissue paper. It's just paper. If it's not quite the right length that you're looking for, and you're looking for something a little bit shorter, by all means. Sorry, we've been having some issues with one of the cats. The husband was just telling me something that they did. Not Mr. Bean. Who is still very much a nocturnal terror. We let him run loose the other night, and he was a little rambunctious at first, and then he kind of found some place to settle in, I guess, and didn't hear a peep out of him for the rest of the night. Last night, though, um, I guess the calling of the bringers of chaos could not be resisted. And he was just causing all kinds of trouble. He knocked over a trash can in our room, which spilled all kinds of stuff everywhere. Not like a food trash can, but like paperwork and like old stupid advertisements from like junk mail and stuff, you know. All of it, all over the floor. And then he was attacking my legs. Then he tried to attack my face. And I'm like, sir, no, it is 5 a.m. And then he decided he was going to start smashing stuff off of my desk. Humans, I'm awake. You need to be awake too. He had food, he had water. He was just bored. And he's very much sleep all day, up all night. Or at least I'm going to cause chaos for short bursts. So he did have to go have a destimulation timeout so that I could try to get a couple of hours of sleep. But he likes going in that room. He definitely likes routine. I think he starts causing trouble when he wants to go in there. Some of the time. Not all the time. Some of it. Because husband was he had slept in the other room on the harder bed for several days because he pulled his back. And that was just working out better for him. So he was in there and he had Bean in there. And so we let Bean come out and the husband went in to go get something. And then Bean was like at the door waiting when he opened it to come out. And I'm like, Kato, you are supposed to be running free tonight. What are you doing? Alright, so I'm like putting that in the glue and I'm pushing down and then pulling back onto the stuff that's already there just to try to squish it in there so I don't have too many gaps in between the twists of paper. That's all that's about. And I just have a toothpick that I am using to help me get all of that into position a little bit easier, and it's not quite as much glue everywhere on me. I still get some glue on my fingers, like that's gonna happen, but it's not quite as much. So we had to run to the store earlier to get something, and the whole time we were out, I'm like, man, this sky just looks weird, right? And it was getting kind of muggy, and it was windy, and it was starting to get sticky, and I'm like, I told him, I'm like, I'll be real surprised if it doesn't do something here. And he's like, well, I guess we'll see. And then we got home and he's like, oh, I need to move the cat grass. And then he's like, oh, I should probably water in case it doesn't rain. And I'm like, all right. And I was resetting up what I deem my anxiety flamingos. They're just these metal flamingos on springs that kind of bob back and forth in the wind. Um, I'd put them outside. I probably should have put a coat of sealer on them because some of them are starting to fade in the sun, but you know, whatever. I'll just have to repaint those. And he came back in before me, and I was standing out there, and I'm like, it's getting really kind of dark, right? Like I thought I was hallucinating at first. I'm like, it did just get a lot darker, right? But he had gone inside, so I didn't have anybody to ask. And I came back in and sat down, looked at the radar. I was like, all right, there's a tiny little blippy blip on the radar. I'll probably just have a quick shower because it had been like dark and weird looking most of the day, off and on at times. And we're in a bit of a radar hole where we are. So, like, there's 3 radars kind of forming a triangular area around us, but with the way the mountains are and stuff, it's kind of hard to get a good picture of what's happening. And I was like, you know, it seemed kind of darker than just that little bit. And about 10 minutes later, I was sitting here and I'm like, the heck? What is that? I said, why are the cars like so much louder all of a sudden? Looked at the radar and then I heard it starting to downpour. I was like, of course, because he just watered. Of course. The other days they were calling for rain. He's like, well, you know, we won't water then. It doesn't rain. They were calling for something. They actually had us in thunderstorms all day today. And then they took it away. And then it was just like a minute chance. And I'm like, really? That seems strange, but okay, I guess. And then they had us in like thunder showers, maybe really fine chance, like under 10%. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's not going to do anything. And then we had like a thunder shower blow up right over top of us. There's still some stuff kind of floating around nearby, but it's not that close. They do have us in pretty good rain chances for the rest of the night, though. Will we actually end up having them? Not sure. That remains to be seen. Alright, so I finished off that orange halo around our sun here. I'm gonna bring some of the glue up over the edges of the ends here on these guys that are already down, just to make sure that everybody is gonna stick as far as the new ones coming in are concerned. Oh, and I do apologize for us just abruptly stopping stream last night. We did go to Walmart, and we had to go right then because Walmart's not open 24 hours anymore. If they had been, we would have just waited till after stream. Um, they had very little in shades of blue in their individual skeins of DMC floss. Like, it looked like they were out of quite a number of colors. And I'm like, I really don't want to have to go to Hobby Lobby tomorrow or try another Walmart in town. There's like 2 super centers in up in Fayetteville, and I'm like, ugh, I really don't want this to be a thing. I just need a couple of skeins of like a dark blue, like a dark royal blue, and I might not even really need those, and this like not really turquoise, but like this light, I think it was like a light turquoise or cerulean, you know, something like that. And they had a pack of blue shades from Coates and Clark that they were calling Pool Party. And I'm like, oh, well, this looks close. And then I put it on my sample. It's not the same shade. It's definitely not the same shade. This looks closer to the middle shade, but it's not. And this is not the right light shade. And I'm like, and this is not the right dark blue. And I'm like, they had the multi-pack that I had gotten that particular shade of blue from. There was exactly one skein of it in this large multi-pack that they were charging $16 for. The thread individually was under $1 a skein, and I'm like standing there trying to make a decision because the store's gonna close shortly, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Am I crazy enough to spend $16 on a pack of thread where I really, really only need one of these colors? And I don't even know if that's going to be enough. It might not be. I might still end up being short. So, as you can see, I did buy the multi-pack of blues. And we're just going to roll with the blues being different. We're going to make them different on purpose. So, I'm going to save the blues that I have done so far. And I'm going to save them for the end of the piece, like at the far end of the Y. And the ones in the middle, I'm just gonna go with what I picked up in that pack. Because I don't have a choice. Like, it was either that or try to go on a scavenger hunt with different Walmarts and might come up empty-handed and have to get that pack anyway, or tried to get to Hobby Lobby and see if they even had anything in that shade. And it's not something I want to attempt to color match online because I don't know what color it is. And I might have color matched it wrong through a computer screen. Because, you know, monitors are different colors, and DMC has so many shades that are so close that are different. Not shading DMC at all. But it's not something I wanted to risk getting the wrong color of accidentally, so it's like, alright, well, I guess we're gonna get the wrong color on purpose then. And we're just gonna figure it out. And maybe it'll look a little bit 80s with like the different shades around the letters. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't gonna sell that piece anyway. It was just like a personal experiment. So, I mean, I can't really sell it anyway. It's got my name on it. But, you know, it is what it is at this point. I'm not completely happy that my vision for it got waylaid, but not much I can do about that. So again, I'm putting it in the glue and I'm pushing down into the glue and then pushing back against what's already down. But I also do want to make sure I am pushing down so like it doesn't start to pile up on top of itself and not be a flat layer on the canvas here. Now I'm not opposed to adding layers on top. We will be doing that with our silhouetted plant life when we get there. Because that was just going to be a bit of a nightmare to try to cut in around. So I'm like, yeah, no. We're not going to make that harder on ourselves for no reason. When we can more than just put it on top. Done it before. Did it big time with those palm trees. So it's not like we're strangers to that. And it's not that hard. If you're going to be doing like a large piece layered on top of something though, I do recommend like doing a small amount and like establishing like a jump off point and letting that set for a few minutes before going in, just so it's not all sliding all over the place. So like for the palm trees on that big canvas, I did like the center line of the palm frond, glued that into place so I had a work off point. And then when I finished with that, I came back maybe 10-15 minutes later and started doing the fronds off of it hanging down, and that worked pretty well. Now I could have trimmed that, probably should have, but it's all right. A little overlapping there isn't gonna hurt it, and it'll kind of just blend in anyway when come back in with the Mod Podge and everything gets all saturated and all glued down together from the top as well. So it's pretty secure. Right, so if you're worried that something isn't secure enough, or if you have like a little tiny like flap sticking up, don't worry about it. We're gonna come back in with Mod Podge when we're done. Mod Podge, excuse me. And that'll help secure everything from top down. And we'll be looking pretty good. Okay. Sorry, if you see me digging through the paper, I'm just hunting for a shape or a length or a size to see if it's there before I start having to think about cutting something to fit. And I'm not opposed to cutting something to fit, but if I already have it available. Oh, that's a lot of text. Yo, bro, caught your stream, can't stay, so I dropped a follow. I like what you're building. I know someone with 3 million followers who helps streamers grow through real engagement and community. Might be worth checking out. Add him on Discord and mention I sent you. But do your own research and keep grinding. Well, thank you for the follow. And I will definitely do my own research. I will ship that off to the research department. And they will get right on that. Wait, did that double post? JFK. Yeah, it double posted. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. I'm more concerned that Twitch seems to think you're either a bot or a scam because it has you restricted. But since it double posted a large wall of text, thinking you're a bot. Could be wrong. Could very well be wrong. But we'll do some research into that. Alright, so we're just gonna work our way down here. And fill in this middle of the sky color. Now I'm working on an 8x10 canvas, which feels so incredibly tiny. Did you give them second snack rolls?
I just did.
Okay. I didn't necessarily hear anybody eating, so I wasn't sure. So we will rinse that up. Alright, I do have to change how I'm sitting here real quick, because achy body. I really would like my chair up a little bit more, just a skosh. But I have the keyboard tray, which my tops of my legs hit if I raise my chair up any higher. And I have the keyboard tray because A, I want my keyboard out of the way. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a wired keyboard. Blasphemy! How dare you use a wired keyboard in this age of wireless? Stop it. I don't want to keep replacing batteries. Nothing that annoys me more than batteries running out on a mouse or a keyboard when you're in the middle of doing something. No thanks. That's a level of frustration in my life I just don't need. Been there, done that. Which made keeping Bean out of the wires under my desk a little bit tricky. Because, he kept getting wrapped up in my keyboard and mouse wire, and I couldn't really hide those as well as all of the other cables for like the cameras and power cords and all that. I have those hidden partially by a piece of foam core. You know, like the really thick poster board with the foam in the middle of it. They call it foam core or foam board. I used packing tape and taped it to, I think, the underside of my desk, or there was a support bar back there or something. I did something under there just to keep him from getting tangled up, and that seems to have worked for the most part. We're still trying to keep him to stay off of... We're still trying to keep him staying off of my PC tower. He's gotten a little better about that. He's not full body slamming himself up there as much. And haven't had any like weird kernel errors since he stopped jumping up there, so I'm pretty sure he was unseating RAM every time he did that repeatedly. So that issue seems to have kind of calmed down, although I did have a weirdness earlier with Chrome where it was like, oh, we can't load this page. I'm like, ugh. Like I was watching the page and the page crashed. Could have been a Chrome issue. Could have been a memory issue. Don't know. What? What the heck?
Hi.
What happened?
I think she got defensive about her food.
Because the cat's on the bed.
What's up, Susu?
What happened?
Don't know. You okay, buddy? Eat your dinner.
Hold on, guys. Alright, I don't know what the heck happened. I wasn't watching them. They were eating their second snack rolls. And at first I thought that Bean came up on the bowl. Because sometimes Snuffles will get defensive over her food. Sometimes. Not all the time. But sometimes. And, Bean was on the bed, asleep. So it wasn't Bean. So I don't know if Zuzu was trying to get into her bowl. They usually don't care. Um, I don't know what happened there. And then he was being sassy at us. So I'm not entirely sure what that was about. They usually tolerate each other fairly well. Are we just in a pissy mood tonight, everybody? Susie's been sassy since the thunderstorms. Thunder showers. It wasn't even like a full-blown thunderstorm. It would rumble and then not do anything for several minutes, almost 10 or 15 minutes, then we'd get like another rumble. But he wants more of the snack that we put in there with the dry dog food. He wants just the good stuff. It's like, no, no. Excuse me, you have to eat all of it. We don't have endless good stuff. It was just a teeny tiny treat of good stuff to get you to eat your dry food. Mr. Doggo. We made burgers tonight, so we cooked an extra one to pop into their food. Why is this being so slow? This bottle's been very log prone, it seems. That was gonna end up gluing itself to that paper towel. There we go. Like, they were even really good when the golden retriever at the working place wanted to say hi. He usually doesn't do very well with large dogs. He usually doesn't like it when a dog is like towering over him. Ow, that was my elbow. I mean, he's just a 20-pound little guy. He might be less than 20 pounds now. But that kind of sounded like she started it. But she's been pulling stuff out of the bowl, it looks like, and dropping it on the floor next to her and eating it and then going back into the bowl. So maybe he thought she was done and went to finish it on her and she got mad. I was letting him know she wasn't done. I don't know. Where their bowls are was blocked from my view. I don't think she hurt him. But hey, kids, do me a favor. Don't get so snippy at each other that you injure each other on a holiday weekend. Alright?
Please.
Because, you know, it's not like I can just take you to a person urgent care. Vet after hours is muy grande. I mean, the one vet that we might be transitioning to, we might be making our secondary vet our primary vet. They do have Saturday hours, and sometimes they have Sunday hours, but with it being a holiday weekend, I don't know if they're operating under normal hours or not. It's hard to tell. When I worked at the casino, there was no holiday. Like, there was real world holidays, but they didn't mean anything. When you were a casino worker, it either meant extra capacity or a normal night. Maybe time and a half if it was an actual holiday that you were working during. But in a place that operated 24/7, there was no time off where everybody was closed for the holiday. Like, that wasn't a thing. Most of the time, depending on the holiday, it was mandatory. Like, New Year's Eve, mandatory. There was one New Year's Eve I didn't work, and that was because my dad was in the hospital. And my boss was like, no, don't come in. It's fine. I'm like, I might be a little bit late. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. We got you tonight. And I'm like, but it's New Year's Eve. They're like, don't worry about it. And they're like, this is a family emergency. It's completely understandable. You're fine. And I was like, okay. He was one of the better bosses that I had. But I mean, for the credit department, there's not much we can do on New Year's Eve. I mean, a handful of banks had tellers available through their call center. Not really tellers, I guess. Assistants that could help you with your questions, but most of the time during like big holidays like that, people were already established before they came in. And at that point, they were so drunk. Half of them thought it was a cash advance. I'm not gonna lie. They would like keep trying to give me their credit card. I'm like, this doesn't mean anything to me. Are you trying to get a cash advance? No, I want a line of credit. Well, I need your bank account number, but this is all I have. And they're like, giving me, I said, then you want a cash advance. Go talk to the cashiers. I can't help you with that. I know the thing says credit, but that's for like in-house credit lines on the casino. We have to run credit reports and we need your bank account number and it's not the number on your debit card. There was an astonishing amount of people. I mean, you go to the bank and they explain to you, this is your credit, this is your debit card number. This is not your bank account number, right? They are two separate things. They're just linked together. I could not believe the amount of people, adults, that would come into that casino trying to tell me that the number on their Bank of America debit card was their checking account number. I'm like, no, it's not. They're like, no, it is. I'm like, sir and or madam. It was mostly the guys. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Sir, for security purposes, that's not. No, it's not. There was one instance where it was partially true, but that wasn't with Bank of America. That was with a credit union. And The guy's like, it is, but there's like some extra numbers on the card, and I don't remember which numbers those are. And I'm like, oh my God, really? And fortunately, the next clerk had come in and managed to somehow, either with faxing or something, they managed to get the credit union to divulge what what numbers might have been the extra ones. And I think through guessing managed to figure it out. With the account holder. I think they had to like send a fax or something to the bank itself. But I'm like, who in their right mind would be okay with their checking account number in full being printed on their debit card when you're just handing it over? So it was before the pin pad machines where you ran it yourself. Like, what? No, I'd not be okay with that. It felt scary enough at times where you had to put the security code thingy from the back of your card to prove you had the card in front of you. A lot of the times, I'm like, I don't know if I should be putting this in. Even though I was the one using it. It was my card. There were so many people. I'm like, I don't know if this is really what you're looking for. Like, are you sure? And some of them did legitly just want a cash advance. They just didn't understand. But it also felt kind of wrong setting up these people for lines of credit when they were a few drinks in. We didn't ever do it for anybody that was obviously impaired. Like over the top impaired, no. Those people, we would try to be like, oh, the bank's computers are down. We just tried to call them a few minutes ago for somebody else. Oh my God. Citibank. Was it Citibank or was it Chase? One of them, one of the C banks, had this lovely habit of running maintenance on their computer systems for their automated systems at 2 a.m. Eastern on Saturday nights. And you couldn't get nothing until the maintenance finished. Sometimes maintenance would be done in an hour. Most of the time, it took till almost 6 a.m. And I'm like, oh boy. And there were so many people that were like, yeah, I can't get any money out of my bank account right now. And it's like, yeah, their systems are down. Every Saturday. They're like, they're really down? Like, yeah, we just called for another customer. Their system is down. Their computers are doing things. Running backups. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they're not. You're not going to get money from us or from your card right now. You're going to have to wait out the maintenance. You're not getting anything out of the ATM. You're not getting a cash advance. No matter what you do, it's going to reject it. Ugh. I hated working the weekend. During the week, depending on the night, providing it wasn't like a midweek holiday or anything, especially during the winter. So from like the middle of January, well, no, I can't say that. From the end of Lunar New Year, I don't have anything, guy. You have to wait a little bit, okay? You need to go finish your other bowl. I don't have anything to give you. Look, it's glue. It's not food. Look, it's paper. It's paper. It's not food. I don't have anything. I got nothing. Nope, I don't have anything. You're gonna have to wait till I'm done. And then we'll see if you still want more snack roll. Okay? Unless you can con Daddy into giving you something else. Your complaint has been forwarded. I don't know what you want. But, so from like whenever Lunar New Year ended to like the middle of May, during the week, it was like a library in there overnights for me. Because I worked, what did I work? I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I was off Tuesday and Wednesday. Because I had to work Monday. I think I was off Tuesday and Wednesday. And, on the rare event that I had to work on, like, a Tuesday night, it was so quiet in there. And it would have been so slow during the day. There were several times where I came in on a Thursday and or maybe I was off Monday, Tuesday. So I feel like I came in some Wednesdays. They would switch my schedule around a lot. But I always worked the weekend. That was like non-negotiable. I was like the person for the weekend. I'm like, oh goody. But yeah, it would be like quiet. And if it was a quiet day, then there would be nothing for me to do when I came in. I would have to sit there and babysit the phone, essentially, or get files if a customer walked in. Like we had to be there if table games were opened, or table games couldn't be open unless we were there. There had to be like custodians of the lines of credit in the building, in the office, somewhere in the building for table games to be open. But I was under the impression that there had to be an exec in the building for table games to be open. So I got real nervous when they started talking about, well, we're going to have the execs that comes in at 4 a.m. come in at 6 a.m. instead to try to, I feel like they were trying to save on payroll. But at the same time, I think they were salary, so I didn't understand. And I'm like, huh? was like, aren't they salary, not hourly? I'm hourly. So I don't know what's happening. But I also did not want to be there for 2 hours by myself. Especially when that became like the witching hour. The second whoever was on duty making file decisions walked away from that desk, even to go to the bathroom, there could have been nobody in there. There could have been like nobody on that side of the casino floor. Could have been a couple people over in the Asian table gaming room. Maybe one or two blackjack tables open, maybe one roulette table open on our side of the casino. Like around 4 a.m. is when a lot of the table games would get shut down, shift change, and they'd be pulling boxes and stuff at like 5 or something, and security would be doing all kinds of things. And they would usually like move everybody to the other side while they were working on that side. And don't you know that's the exact moment when people would start coming up to the window? Nobody in there. Nobody. Exec's like, I'm gonna wander upstairs. I'm hungry. I'm gonna see if there's anything worth eating up in the cafeteria. Just, I'll be gone like 10 minutes.
Dun dun dun.
Don't you know? They weren't gone 2 minutes and somebody's at the window. I'm like, are you kidding me? And they're like, yeah, my accounts, they're saying I can't get a marker. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm trying to draw a marker. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, great. Same thing would happen to me. I'd be the only clerk on duty. Because that's the way it had to be scheduled at times, where there was only one of us there at night. Right? Like, sometimes on the weekend, sometimes, the one lady would overlap with me for like an hour or two. And usually when I got there, she had been so busy, she's like, I'm gonna run on my break. And I'm like, okay. So then I'm alone for like that first hour, essentially, after I get there and I'm getting my bearings for the night, trying to figure out how the night's gonna go. And I've only been there like an hour. So I either take my break or I take my chances. And our breaks were on the clock too. So fortunately, we did not, for my department, have to clock out for our break. Was our break an hour or was it a half an hour? I don't remember. It might have been an hour. And we didn't always get the hour, but um depending on circumstances. So we had a cafeteria for the employees that we did not have to buy our food. And as time went on, things got shittier. And then they're like, okay, well, you all are abusing it and you're eating too much. So now you only get one hot meal per shift. The ones abusing that, ironically enough, were the dealers. And they ended up joining a union. But every break they got, like, I think they got breaks like every 20 minutes or something like that. Because I'd be up there on my break or waiting to clock in because I had to get there early because of bus schedules or whatever. And I'd just be sitting up there reading or whatever. And you'd see them breaking, doing their breaks. And like one round would leave, another round was coming in, another round would leave. And like they'd be in there hitting the hot food line the whole time. And then there were some that were getting a hot meal before their shift started. And then Not necessarily just the dealers, but there would be others that would be eating before their shift. Then they would eat during their shift on their scheduled break, and then they'd be eating again before they left. And I'm like, see, you guys are the ones that are abusing the system for everybody else. Because some of us, like myself, had to carry a pager or a cell phone, but they mostly had us carrying pagers whenever we were the only clerk or exec in house and had to walk away from the department because due to whatever cell phone carrier had antennas on the roof, Verizon had shitty service in the building. So, half the time you'd be calling on the exec cell phone and they weren't getting the call. It would just ring. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I've got a high roller that's not happy. I need you to come back. I don't get paid enough to get screamed at. And, like, there were multiple times where I had just sat down with food and I'm getting paged and I'm like, shit. And it was on days where there was like good stuff left over from a banquet or whatever, and you know that that was going to be gone. Sometimes I would get a styrofoam cup and like shove it in the styrofoam cup or two cups if it was like chicken tenders and just bring them back down with me in my styrofoam cup with like a napkin over it because I couldn't really bring the plate down with me because I had to cross the casino floor no matter what way I came down. There was no back of the house entrance to my department. I'm like, well, I can't exactly carry a plate of food through the security airlock. Like, this is much. So I just started bringing my own food. I'm like, fuck it. They're like, oh, you want to go on break? I'm like, I brought something. They're like, you sure you don't want to go and take a walk or something? I'm like, every time I do, that goddamn pager goes off. I'm good. I'll just eat back here. I'm fine. Hi, Mr. Doggo. Yes, I've registered your complaint with the complaint department. Your ticket is open and pending. We are waiting for the ticket team to have a moment to get to it. ETA on fulfillment of said ticket?
Zero.
Unknown.
0% chance.
Oh no. There's gonna have to be some percentage because I will be driven insane. And we can't have that.
You will be driven insane regardless of what I do.
Oh, look at those sad little doggy eyes.
Oh yeah, it's so small. I don't care.
He's not growling at you.
He's not eating his damn food.
I think he wants chicken.
I don't care. Life is full of fun, happy moments, buddy.
Please. For me.
Fine. For mommy. For mommy's sake, old man.
And like put like 2 pieces of chicken in it so he'll actually eat.
You want chicken? Yeah? Alright.
Works.
Alright, he wants chicken, not hamburger. Alright, fine. Picky bastard.
That was loud on my ears. Yeah, we had the entrance to where I worked was next to our security desk. And we had to get buzzed in. And then a door would unlock, and then we would go in, and then it was like an airlock. And then once that door was closed and locked, then they could open the next door. Which was real fun when the door lock decided to not work. We had people stuck in there before because the lock decided to get stuck or malfunction, and you never really knew if the doors were misbehaving or if somebody was tied up at the security podium and wasn't watching the cameras or listening for the buzzers. And you would just be in there until they got around to letting you out. And I'm like, hello? Like, the light's not changing color in here. What's happening? There were times where we had to use the emergency exit from my department to get in and out because the airlock door was broken multiple times. And so they had to have security posted up at the emergency exit of our department to let us in and out, like checking our IDs. Although, you know what? I don't know that they ever checked our IDs. I think they were just like, what the fuck ever. You're dressed in a uniform. To be perfectly honest. I don't think they got paid enough to give that much of a shit. Yeah, but holiday weekends just meant, oh god, it's gonna be busy. No. Holiday weekend and air show weekend. Oh god. Or air show week, I guess. Because they'd comp all the high rollers and bring them in, and then there were parties during the day out on the beach and like tent cabanas and stuff, and it would be so busy. I mean, I get it. They were keeping us employed. I get that. But it would have been a little better if people could not be such assholes to one another. That was my main problem. Was that shitty behavior, if you had money, was rewarded. Or at least not frowned upon. If somebody came in there and started cussing you out, you had to take it. You could not say anything back to them. At least you could not cuss them out. Because if you decided to match their energy, you were fired. Which was never a good time. Now, I quit. I wasn't fired. They started talking about testing automated table games, and I'm like, oof. I'm like, oh no. That's not good. And then they were talking about the executives coming in at 6 instead of 4, and I'm like, you're not gonna leave me alone on a Saturday night until 6 a.m. with no exec here. Or, a Saturday night, Sunday morning. I'm like, no, no, no. Do you have any kind of idea the shit that goes down in here from 4 to 8 on any given night? People are drunk, thoroughly drunk at that point, mad that they're out of money, desperately trying to get more money, any means necessary. We've had how many high rollers walk in off the street unannounced that we didn't even know were in town? Didn't have their files updated and ready to go? Their hosts didn't give us a sniff of warning that they might stop in? No, no, no. Now, not all of the high rollers were assholes. Not all of them. Some of them, though, some of them could go take a very long walk off a short bridge, but not all of them. Some of them were nice. Though I will say we did have some nobody kid who nobody knew anything about walk in at like 4 or 5 a.m. one morning. Requested a couple $1,000 credit line. I don't think the exec was able to give them the exact amount that they wanted, but they got it close. And the whole time we were running the reports and stuff, they were sitting there in the credit office on a laptop. And I'm like, I don't know if that's quite okay. I don't know what you're doing on this laptop. I think they might have been trading stocks on it, to be perfectly honest, on like a foreign market or something, because they were glued to this thing. And a little bit later, they showed up. I was the only clerk on duty. They said they won. They were not there very long. They tipped me $200 and then tipped the executive $200, except the executive couldn't take tips. So she had to hold it up in front of the cameras and hand it to me. Now, we didn't really have a policy on tipping in our department because tipping happened so rarely for us. We weren't cashiers, we didn't handle money. It was very rare for the clerks in the department to get tipped. Extremely rare. But I had worked this guy's information up, did his application and everything, and I'm like, is what is the policy with this? And they're like, well, normally if there's another clerk, you guys would just like split it between yourselves. And the exec's like, but you're the only clerk here. So there you go. So I ended up getting a $400 tip that ended up paying, I think, for some of our wedding. I think it ended up paying for flights or part of our flights. Or most of our flights. And I was like, okay. I was like, this feels weird that I'm not tipping or not splitting it with somebody, but there was nobody else there. And the next person coming in wasn't due for like another hour and a half, 2 hours. And I'm like, all right. Like this, are we sure this is okay? Because I think that was the only time I ever got a tip. I think. Because it happened so rare. Now, the cashiers, they got tips all the time. If not every cash out, then most cash outs. Like especially if it was like over a certain amount. If it was like $20, they wouldn't normally, but like if it was a couple hundred, a lot of times the people cashing out would tip them. And they had like a box that tips would get put in, and then I think at the end of the week the tips got counted. And then they were divided out among the cashiers that were working that shift or something. I don't know the full extent of it because I didn't work in their department. I think that was the gist of how their tips worked. But our department didn't handle money, so it's like, there's money on the counter. What am I supposed to do with this? And the exec's like, just hold it up to the counter or hold it up to the cameras so they can see it, and then you can pocket it. And I was like, okay, this feels really weird. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want security to descend upon me. They're like, no, show it to the camera so they can see it, so they know what it is. They'll get it. I'm like, okay. Alrighty then. Alright, we're gonna need a little bit more of this color. Probably pulled out here. This one. I definitely need more glue. Alright. Get this guy popped into there. Oh, that's a long guy. Get you popped into there. All right. Not bad, not bad. We're not getting super messy tonight. I'm getting a little bit of glue on me, but it's not too bad. Nothing worse than normal. Alright. No, let me try you. Yeah, you're a little bit of a bitter fit there, I think. Yeah, I don't know if that's enough paper to finish this guy out here. In fact, well, yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be close. Okay. Let's get some more glue here. I could put more glue in the cup at a time, but I don't want it to start drying in the cup to the point where I can't get it out and use it. There'll always be a little bit of residue in there. And I haven't pulled out the bit that's there. So I have a bit of a dried glue puck in the bottom of this. I mean, you can pull it out, or you can be weird like me and let it build up till it's like super thick and then pull it out and then be like, yeah, look at this massive thing, and then watch as it turns more and more clear as it's drying over time. No, I'm just probably just me that's weird like that, right? I grabbed some oil pastels to eventually give a try. They were in the clearance section at Walmart. I think they were there because the box was like ripped. I don't know if somebody had tried to use them and didn't like them and return them. One of the sticks looks a little slanted, but only one of them. So I'm not sure if it was returned because somebody like did a brief try of it and was like, "Oh no." Or because there's oil pastel and then there's soft pastel, which always drives me crazy because oil's soft too. Um they should really be chalk pastel and oil pastel in my personal opinion. But I don't know if somebody thought that they were like the chalk pastel or if the box was just ripped from somebody messing with it. All of them were there. And it was like $3 and change for 24. Now, granted, they were pretty skinny, but it's enough just to mess around with a little bit. First, I thought Zuzu had been giving me so much sass because I was washing his blanket, and then once we got it in his bed, he settled down and laid down on it. But then the sass recontinued. I have not heard it do anything weathery. Wonder if we're gonna get any more weather tonight. It kind of fell apart. Oh, we were under a flood advisory. Oh, no, it's still there. All right. We're under a flood advisory, I think, until 10 or 11. I guess we're like kind of in it here, but we didn't really get that much rain, I didn't think. I mean, it was coming down pretty good, but we've had thunderstorms where it dumped down a lot harder. So I was kind of surprised. Especially when it kind of stopped raining for the most part. Alright, so sometimes I get ones that look like this. Those ones were usually being all sorts of trouble, and I probably just rolled it a funny way. A lot of this tissue paper I rolled one-handed while I was video editing because my brain just could not let it be for me to work on one thing at a time. No. We had to be doing multiple things, which was silly because then I didn't twist the paper as fast because I was also trying to edit at the same time. But nope, that's not the right size. But anytime I tried to like just do the paper, I'm like, I could be working on something else right now. So some of these that rolled kind of weird, I know were definitely single-handed rolled. It takes a little bit to get used to, especially considering my left hand gets mad about doing a lot of things. It's like, I'm just here to look pretty and hold things. You want me to do actual labor? Like, no. I'm like, look, left hand, you're not that pretty and you barely hold things, so you have to do something. At least some of the time. You've got to do something. Actually, I have some glue building up on my toothpick here. I'm trying to get it off. If it starts to build up too much, you can just get a new toothpick. but a lot of the time I hate switching toothpicks while I'm in the middle. Especially if I find one that's not like splintery or split or anything. It's like, yeah, this is a good toothpick. I know. I'm weird. Can't help it. I mean, I do have a stylus that I could use as well. But I also got it from Dollar Tree and it was not well made. Because I have had to glue the little stylus part back on the handle a couple of times. Because it came loose and fell off. I was like, what? What is this? Why? Oh, you know what? We did have enough. Telling me surprised. Alright. So let me put that back in its Ziploc bag of twisted paper holding. Alright. That's gonna go there. So again, this is just regular gift wrap tissue paper. There is nothing special about it. This. Don't know if I have enough of it. Prepped. So I think I'm going to start here. And we'll kind of see how far we go with it. I kind of forgot that I had wanted to try to get a bit more of it twisted. Man, we're getting all of the weird posts tonight. I wish I had seen that post pop up earlier. Because now I need to do a spam report. I didn't on the other one because I wasn't entirely sure what the heck was going on there. Somebody must have, though, because it was a restricted account. I'm pretty sure it was a bot. But let me see. Let me close that out. Oh, so that, like, no, it's not that old. Okay. Oh! That account has... Wait. Oh, it was when it was created. Account suspended or deactivated.
That was quick.
That... How are they posting if they've been suspended or deactivated? Unless it just happened.
May have just happened.
Alright, well, I'm gonna ban you anyway. Or block... Yeah, banned you. Alright, then. Sure. You bet. Hey, Snuffles. Could you not, like, try to dig to China in the only bed that we have that's foam? Maybe? Please? It really needs to be replaced, but ma'am, there are so many other things in line before that happens. Please do not accelerate the process. There are many, many other things that need to happen before that. I don't know why she insists on digging the mattress. And she's like 2 feet digging. She's gonna rip my sheets. I had to take the comforter that we had off the bed because they kept digging that and there was a string loose on it that animal nails kept getting caught on, and so I rolled it up and I'm using it as like a bumper on the one side of the bed up against the wall. And it's too hot for the comforter right now anyway. And we would just fight over it anyhow, so we each have our own blankets. We have like the fitted sheet and then it's figure out for yourself. And I sleep hot, so I have like a sheet, a throw blanket, another throw blanket if I need it. I'll tell you, those throw blankets, as thin as they are, get so toasty. And then the husband usually just has his own throw blanket. Like we tried doing like the joint sheet for everybody, but then we were fighting over that, or he'd get twisted all up in it. And then when the animals wanted under the blanket, they'd be under the top blanket, but not under the sheet. And then we'd have like sandwiched animals in the blankets and all. And then we were trapped because of how they were laying. And I'm like, okay, we need to simplify this. This is too much. Now, don't get me wrong, I have more of this color. I just don't have more of it ready. So if we need to readyfy more of it, that's not a problem. It can be done. Okay, so we are using our little photo for reference up there. The photo, sorry, I'm just de-gluing my fingers. The photo was from Unsplash. Do pay attention when you are getting stuff from there, because some of the photos are like a membership thing, so I don't know if they are all royalty free. I have been using just the free ones because you can't download the other ones without the membership. So just pay attention. And yes, this is the same photo that I used for reference on the last needle felt. And I have the idea for the next needle felt all ready to go. We're not gonna do Bob Ross on the next one. We're gonna do a flamingo guy. I haven't sketched him out yet, but we're gonna do it same size as that last needle felt, because I've got a bunch of those boards still to use. So why not? Why not? Right? Let's use up the stuff. Except I'm gonna turn it the other way, so I might need him to drill me another hole in the back of it to tuck the little hanging string into. Don't know when we're doing farmer's market yet. It's still a little early. He said he stopped by there the other week and there was like hardly anybody there, so well, I don't want to sit out in the blazing sun because we don't have a canopy because we only have gone like once a season because I can't make the stuff that fast. Also don't know that I really want to be sitting there in like August on a scorching Saturday either, so we'll have to see. What happens with that, and whatever doesn't end up getting rehomed there, I might throw back up on the eBay store. See what happens with that. Alright, I'm not going to take that down any further there because I kind of wanted a little bit of a dip there, so. Okay. Ugh, little glue bits. Little glue bits. Get off my fingers. Okay. Alright, so. Get some more glue put down over here. Now, most of this paper was matte. If you have the option between matte and shiny, I would suggest matte. Some paper you don't have the choice. Some paper one side's matte, one side is shiny. So you'll have to figure out if you twist it on one side, if the other side will be what you want to show. I mean, I would not pay extra specifically for shiny paper, because you're gonna end up covering it in Mod Podge, and that has different finishes to it, so if you want it to be super shiny, you can get the glossy one. If you want maybe just a hint of gloss, you can get the semi. Remember to rinse as much glue out of that as we can. I'm gonna dry it. Because, I mean, we did sacrifice the brush to the glue gods, but that doesn't mean that I want to try to find a brush that I can sacrifice next time, right? And the glue would dry in the brush before the next round of glue. So we have to kind of take care of the brush a little bit. I mean, it might be an older beat up brush, but it's still serving a purpose for us. Alright, so I put a little bit of glue on the edge here that I'm just trying to use to tack down that end piece. I might come back and like trim. See, like that one's a little bit loose and sticking out. I might trim that down on any pieces that are sticking up on the sides before I try to paint the edges. Because I want to come back in with, I don't know, maybe I might do black. I might do purple. Probably black. Just to give the edges a bit more of a cleaner feel. Wow, more sirens tonight. It's been a siren-y kind of night here. My goodness. That was an ambulance at least, though. The other night, when we cut stream to run to the store to get more thread, just as we were leaving, we heard what sounded like, damn it, fire trucks. Which was a little concerning because I'm like, wait, those don't sound like they're coming from the right direction. Because our fire station, we actually have 2 fire stations, and I didn't know this. They keep like 1 engine in the one station. I think it's like an auxiliary station that they don't always use. But they keep like an engine in it, and I think they just drive over and grab it if there's a fire closer to that one. And then there's one closer to us. And this wasn't coming from there. And then when we were on our way to Walmart, we passed the next town over's fire station, and their doors were open and one of their trucks was missing. And I'm like, oh, I bet you that was theirs. So I don't know if they were like doing a mutual aid to the town on the other side of us, which they might have been, but then it's like, well, we were closer. Why didn't we go? And I didn't remember hearing our trucks going anywhere, so I found that kind of odd. Unless they went out without lights and sirens, or they were out there earlier already, or we didn't have anyone to spare. I know back in the town I grew up in, we had a volunteer fire department, and like they would all have like flashy blue lights on their vehicles so that if there was a call and they had to get to the fire station, they would just turn on their flashy blue lights so that they could get through traffic and all faster. But they used like the air raidy tornado sirens to notify, along with radio call, that the volunteers needed to get to the fire station. I don't know if people do that all over, but that's what our town did. So then hearing actual tornado sirens go off for tornadoes through like video from like surrounding areas, kind of creepy, because it's like we used these to signify that there was an emergency and volunteers needed to get to the station, not that there was a tornado coming, and now this is kind of scary. Was that what I thought it was,
Might
or
have been.
or
That
was,
sounded like
or was it a car? There's a couple of grumbly rumbly cars that go by. Alright, do we think we have enough of this color? We actually might. We might. Alright. Get this kind of worked into here. I'm surprised too, because I just checked the radar and there like wasn't anything at all. Like not even a shower. So that's a little surprising. So I do want to get the edges of those guys there, just so I can kind of get that worked in. And I'm just using tacky glue. Nothing special about those. I like that it doesn't take long to dry and that it grips the paper very well. And then I don't have to usually sit there and fuss with it too much. Now, if I'm doing something fancy like the little circle-y spirals, that requires a little bit more fussing. But just in general, it does great. It's the Gold Bottle brand that starts with an A. We're not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form. I know you can get it at Walmart, or at least you used to be able to. Get it on Amazon. And we'll start laying some more paper redos in here. Now, I still had a tiny amount of glue in that cup, but I think I'm gonna add some more. It's not very much that's left in there that hasn't started to dry. Now, when I had first thought about trying to do the tissue paper art, I was like, oh, well, I mean, maybe we could do, like, just cut out the pieces and kind of, like, stained glass it, but then I started just, like, twisting it and kind of putting it down. I was like, you know what, this looks kind of cool. It's got, like, some weird little wavy textures to it. Why not? Right? It's definitely different. That's for certain. Alright, that didn't really get any glue. I had more glue on my finger than on the paper there. For that little bit. Come on. I was trying to get the glue little bits off my finger before I started touching everything over here. Okay. So I mean, it's not complicated. Not really. The hardest part about this is just twisting the tissue paper and maybe cutting it. And even that's not that hard. Though I do recommend, if you have to cut a lot of paper for your idea, I highly recommend a paper cutter. Highly. it took me, was it 2 weeks? In the evenings after dinner for a couple of hours a night of cutting tissue paper for that large project. Oh, that was 2 wraps together. Okay. That was a 2-for-1 deal. 2 weeks of non-stop cutting tissue paper action, and that was with a guillotine cutter. I can only imagine how long that would have taken me with scissors and the amount of blisters. Oh, it would have been bad. And the only other paper cutter I had was this like tiny scrapbook trimmer that at most could tolerate cutting like 4 sheets of tissue paper. I had way more than 4 sheets of tissue paper that needed cutting. Even with the guillotine, I had to split it into smaller amounts just to make sure that it was going to slice through. And the best part is I've got all kinds of divots and like chunks in my desk, at least in the contact paper. I don't know if it went through the contact paper of doing the guillotine down because it didn't quite fit on my desk. So I was like, oh no, look at this surprise. Oh, that was the glue bottle. Sorry. That was not microphone feedback, I promise. Alright, we're gonna get some more glue squeezed out into our cup here. Sometimes I don't always put the lid back on right away. I try to. Hopefully that won't get clogged again. Maybe that was a car. I haven't heard anything since. Bless you. Bless you. It's your turn now. You alright?
Yeah, back hurting.
Did you get your...
Yes, I did.
Did you take an ibuprofen?
Yes.
And get this filled in with here. So yeah, it looks like we will actually have enough of that color. I'm never really sure, right? Because when I was working on the other canvas, I had these full to busting with paper. So, and even then I had to like refill them a couple of times. Snuffles! That's
you don't
enough!
have to be that vicious.
Bean just wanted to get on the bed, ma'am. He's allowed on the bed. You tell her. I think he's chasing a fly.
He might be.
Because he's staring up at the ceiling and he just did his little battle cry. We know when we hear that and we're laying in bed that shit's about to go down. We're like, uh-oh. What's about to happen? Please get it out of your system now. So you are sleepy for bedtime tonight. So you're not getting into trouble all night. Had to get him off the bed earlier so we could rip the sheets off when we were doing laundry. And do you think he would move? I had to like grab him and like drag him halfway across the bed. And he started digging his claws into me. I'm like, look, you can lay back down there in a second. I need you to move. And then we had to move him again when we were putting stuff back on the bed. I'm like, guy, work with me here, please. I'm not asking for a whole lot. I'm really not. In the grand scheme of things. Alright. I know it doesn't look like much at the moment. But, like, it'll really start to pop and come alive when we start to add in the foliage in the front. But this all has to get done first. Right? Just like with the needle felt. And I do promise we will be getting back to that soon-ish. As soon as we're done this guy. I had contemplated starting a little bit sooner tonight, but I wasn't sure if the husband was doing any gaming with anybody, and then I didn't know if this guy was gonna get grumbly again and Mr. Fussy Pants was gonna be fussy, so like we don't normally let them in the kitchen because we don't want to fall over them while we're cooking, but he was so upset earlier that I was letting him come out there, and then I ended up giving him half of my dinner. Because he was willing to eat it, which is a big deal. Because usually when he starts to get that worked up, you're not going to get him to eat anything for hours. Let alone anything meaningful. This feels like... Is this more than one? No, it was just a longer piece. Okay. Sometimes the paper will stick together, and I won't necessarily notice right away when I am twisting it. Happens. And it's not a big deal. If something feels weird, just untwist it. See if you've got double there. If you don't, cool, just retwist it back up. If you do, pull out the second one. If you didn't want it there. And then you'll be on your way again. This stuff is pretty forgiving. Just don't get it wet. Like with water. If you get it wet with water, then you're gonna have some troubles. Or it's gonna go kind of mushy. And depending on how wet your glue is, it could get a little mushy on you. But sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing. That can work in your favor. Like if you're trying to do like trees or, well, certain types of trees, and you're trying to get like a certain kind of texture to them, or shrubs or something like that, you can like rip up small pieces. It doesn't necessarily have to be twisted, and kind of lay it down in the glue, and then like take your stylus or your toothpick or whatever and then just kind of like slide it up and like kind of like make a mound, and then you'll have like the texture of like tree leaves. So I mean, it can work for you. I need a little one. Let's try this one. I can just get enough of you to hold, and we'll be looking good there. All right, yeah, cool. We did have just enough. A little bit more than just enough. All right, so we will pop you all back into there. I did get some of the black background stitching done on that name canvas today too. Not a whole lot, but I got a little. I didn't have that much free time today to work on it, but I was trying to get something done on that just to get the background caught up a little bit. Okay, so we need this color. Got glue bits everywhere. Oh, that off to the side. Alright, so let's see. Let's play, was that what I heard? It had to have been a car. Right? I'm not seeing any symbols anywhere. What I am seeing is so far south of us. It's like over 50 miles south of us. I don't think I would have heard that here. Let's see. Let's turn on that and that and that. Yeah. Local radar, which isn't great a lot of the time, is kind of showing the same thing. So we'll chalk that up to having been a car then, I guess. Okay, so I'm gonna start to, I guess we'll dive in here, right? Start to put this next bit here. Section's a little bit drier. Now this is gonna be back to our like dusty lilac color. Kind of, sorta. Now this color is going to be a different, darker purple than what we had up here. Alright, don't want to get too carried away. Probably should have started on the other side first, but meh. I had the thought briefly, and then the thought, like, left just as briefly, so, like, nah, this is fine. Alright. And we'll get this popped into here. Now these guys, I do have some that are a bit longer. I guess I just cut this color a little bit bigger, maybe? I don't know. There's some shorter ones in there. But I do have a fair number of longer ones. Alright, now I do have this short section of glue developing here with nobody in it. So I need to figure out what I want to do there. I can either cut to fit or leave it be and add a little bit more glue there and just add other ones. That are like their regular length without tailoring them into there. Kinda, you know, whatever you're vibing. Like, no real repercussions if you don't. I mean, I hate to waste glue, but it's such a small spot. Doesn't really matter that much. Not really. Alright, let's see here. Get this guy. I mean, you can overlap these. You can, like, really get them squished in there. I can probably get you there. Alright. So, I'm gonna leave that there. Right. And I'm gonna come back over here. And we'll start to figure out the rest of this side. And like it will look a bit different once we get the Mod Podge in. Like it gives it this pop and it makes the colors a little bit brighter. I know it's hard to believe me at this stage. But man, when I started putting it on the big piece, big difference. The heck? Looked like paint came out of there. Huh. Interesting. Considering I didn't see any paint embedded in that brush. Okay. So, Start laying in the next round here. And I mean, you can overlap these papers, it's fine. Get them to lay against each other a little bit better that way sometimes. Gosh, I will say, a little bit before I went live tonight, I had such a sneezing fit. Not even sure what the heck triggered it. Just suddenly it was sneezy time. It was like a slow sneezy fit too. It was like, okay, here's a sneeze. And then like maybe 30 seconds to a minute later, then another sneeze. What on earth? Wow.
That's actually.
Yeah. I don't know how they can stand being in that car like that. Like, we could feel the car vibrating. Wow. Our windows are shut. And it's 10:30 at night here. That's... that was something. Okay. Get this guy. And this one. Alright, so this section of this like dusty purple color, it's gonna be a little bit thicker down here on the bottom than I had it at the top. So between that and my little dip here, it's going to signify this is the bottom. So I know it's a little tricky to tell at the moment. And I do like to work on stuff upside down sometimes, so we are currently right side up. And then this color down here will be a different shade than this. It's not the same shade that we are using again. Alright, I think we might have just enough glue still liquidy in here. Okay. Oh, when we came out of Walmart last night, so they've got like a wide sidewalk, you know? And it's like fire lanes and exit doors right there and everything. And people are just driving up on the sidewalk and like sitting in their cars. I'm like, excuse me, you're in a fire lane. This is not a loading zone. You're on the sidewalk where people are walking to get to their cars. Like, what? Like, this is ridiculous. I will say you could tell those employees were ready to go. It must have been a slow evening because they had all kinds of people trying to zone and get everything ready to get the heck out of there. I don't know if they have their overnight stock anymore and they're just closing the store during it, or if they like leave around midnight or something. I don't know. But they were definitely trying to get done. And they had the one set of entry doors blocked off and locked. And I don't know if that's really okay. But I guess at least the one set of doors was functioning. I'm sure their mindset is that, well, we don't have an employee at this time of night to watch these doors, and we only have enough coverage for the other doors right now. Like, they were definitely locked, and from the inside there was like shopping carts parked in front of them, so if you were in the store you couldn't go out those doors either. They were thoroughly blocked. I was like, what the heck? These are the doors we normally go in and out of. You can make some, if you can find brown tissue paper, you can make some really awesome looking tree trunks and stuff with this. Or if all you have is white, you could always try to paint it. You'll have to be careful and like really get the paint down in the crevices. But if all you have access to is white and you're looking to get some different textury things and stuff, that is also an option. I would use acrylic craft paint though. I would not go like watercolors because those are going to be too wet. Right? And then your paper might start to get too mushy on you. And kind of disintegrate. Unless you're looking for that kind of texture. Which, if that's the case, then, you know, whatever. But Just letting you know. I'm like, oh yeah, we've got plenty of this. And then I was like, oh wait, we still have to do the other side. I mean, it's not like the paper's gonna go bad if we twisted too much. Oh no. Like, I need to twist more of it, honestly. So that way I can, get the rest of it used up here. Now, I am... Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't need to. I was gonna say I probably am gonna trim some of this, but maybe we don't need to. Alright, and again, we don't have to stick 100% to our color key. We can make adjustments if we need to. If I need to bring this color up a little bit higher, perfectly fine. It's not like the color key rules all is all. Must follow color key. No, you can change it. You can change your mind. We do need a bit more glue, though. I am curious about that other person. Oh! Wow! That was fast! So that person that did that weird wall of text that got posted twice, that account had been created 2 hours ago. And it's already suspended or deactivated. That's the fastest I've ever seen action taken on an account. That must have been like a legit scam. Wow. My goodness gracious. Fastest I've ever seen that happen. I'll see people that have their accounts restricted for the bots posting for like days. That is wild. It's like, yeah, I'm certainly not clicking on or messaging anybody's Discord that I don't know. Especially when I've not seen you really chat or anything ever. Like, you gotta talk to me first. Like, a meaningful conversation. Okay. We might get to that bottom color tonight. We might just. There are teeth marks in that ferrule. Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean be up in here doing his beaniest when I'm not around. No, I think that happened while we were away. Because there's teeth marks in something else of mine that he was fascinated with. that for some reason didn't cross my mind to do something with before we left. It's like, no, it's fine. Okay. Nope. You don't want to glue to my finger, please. That's not cool. And that helps no one. Alrighty. Next contestant, please. So we've been streaming tonight so far for about 2.5 hours. So that account was created a half an hour before we got started. Wow. The new advertisement is, it's saying AI viewers. I'm like, no, get out of here. Absolutely not. If what you were posting before, and it's the same website that keeps posting their advertisements or trying to. I'm like, no. What you were posting before wasn't okay. This is definitely not okay. No, no, no. Absolutely not. So it looks like Bookbound will probably be showing up on the YouTube channel in early July. Looking at how many Little Known Galaxy recordings I have left. Because they threw me an extra quest I wasn't expecting. And I'm like, oh, we should probably try to complete the quest. And I didn't end up doing a full achievement run because that was getting exhausting running around trying to buy crew members' friendship. I mean, it might not have been so bad if I hadn't, like, left it to the end, but I was too involved with trying to figure out the relic mystery and growing crops and all that, and it would take almost a full day of mining to get through all of the checkpoints down on the planet's surface, so there wasn't much time after doing chores to run around buying people's good feelings towards me. Okay. I don't know if I was like supposed to be gifting them produce either. But I'm like, here, we made this. It just seemed easier. Gotta say. Alright. Rinsey, rinsey, roo. Oh, no, maybe it was paint that was already on the edge of my cup. Maybe that's where that weird color came from when I was drying out the brush. I was like, there was certainly nothing that shade that we touched here. That's just odd. There. And this guy popped into there. Alright, I'm gonna trim you, because you're kind of like an awkward shape there. Just a bit. I mean, I could pull some more out of the bag. It might be a slightly better fit here. Like that is an option. And this guy kind of get laid into there. Actually, I might end up doing that. This glue is drying a little bit faster on me. Than I wanted it to. And that happens if you're... Uh-oh. I think that piece is gone. If it is drying a little bit too fast on you, if you have a fan on, turn the fan off for sure. Or just put a little bit more glue down or work in a smaller section. I mean, if you really need the fan on because of how hot it is or whatever, then definitely just start working in smaller sections. It means you're going to have to put more glue down and more rinsing of the brush and all, but that might be the only way to handle that, especially if you are a little bit of a slower worker. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just telling you how to counter it. The easiest way possible. Right? We all work at our own pace. And there's only so much you can do to counter it. The perfect length. And then I dropped it. A couple more in here. Maybe one more. Depends on if I can find a small enough guy. Alright, we'll we'll go with that one. Okay. Now I do have quite the amount of glue building up on that. Alright, I'm gonna swap the sides that I am using on that. Gosh, I've got so much little gluey bits all in my lap and all in my chair. Oh, a lot of rattly trailers being towed today. That little tiny dark spot, that is the actual color of this desk. Okay. I'm gonna go just a little bit more glue. I probably still have a fair amount in here. But just to make sure. Alright, so this is the color we're gonna put in on here, on the bottom piece. I didn't have quite the same shade of paint. Well, this one was a soft paper. And like some of your tissue paper will have different textures to it. I don't know why. I've had white that's been very, very crunchy and crisp. Almost hard to use. And then I'll have stuff that's like super like velvety soft. And this particular color, I guess maybe it's how they had to dye it. I don't know if it's like based on the manufacturer and or what, or if it is the dye. But this color here that I'm getting ready to put on now feels very soft. Kind of like a cozy blanket. Now, I will say when I was working on the other project, I would put out way more glue than this, but I also had it a bit thicker. Like there would be no base color shining through there at all. Right in here, I've got some of that base purple kind of poking through there. Okay. So let's just go ahead and grab a piece. My least favorite is the edges, right? Especially if I'm rolling it down the side just because my fingers get more messy. It's like my least favorite part. Ah, I still have glue on my finger. See, it doesn't take much for the tissue paper to grab this tacky glue. That was a very thin amount there on my finger and on the edge there. Now, if it's a little bit of a stiffer, crunchier piece, it might take a little more convincing to grab the edge if you're rolling it over the edge. but the softer ones hold the shape that you kind of fuss them into a little bit easier. At times. Alright, at least with this, we've definitely been making visible progress, right? A little bit faster than the needle felting. Just trying to deglue my fingertips there for a second. Alright, that piece popped into there. See, that's much darker purple than the paint I put down there. But at least it was something, you know, so it's not just white canvas underneath. I'm like, you don't have to do that step. It's just I tend to prefer to do it because I have had instances where I've had the white canvas poking through and it's bugged the ever-living shit out of me. So, personal preference and you knowing what's going to bother you and what's not going to bother you. And how you choose to work around it. Now, this color is going to be absolutely gorgeous once we get the top coat on it. Hunt for the size piece that I'm looking for. Oh, okay, well then how about you go back to where you're supposed to go? So that one had shifted slightly. Had a slight gap show up there. I could see the paint underneath. Like sometimes you're not sure if is it just the white of the glue? Or do I actually have a gap there? So that color underneath can actually be quite helpful. All right, get this piece in here. So what all do we still have left? We have to finish this section. And then we have to put the black in. I don't know that that's enough black. It might be. I might be overestimating. how much black I'm gonna need. I probably am. I'm probably gonna barely use half of that. Alright, so a bit more of this out here. And I'm not using like a traditional spray sealer or regular sealer that I would use for like an acrylic painting. I'm just going to seal this with the Mod Podge. I have tried through tests of using like a spray sealer on top without the Mod Podge. Doesn't look right. It gets splotchy. I'm not sure what's creating the splotchy. It might be that it's looking different with, because you have some glue seep up, glue seepage coming up in between the pieces, and I think it's making the paper look different colors between the glue that seeped up and the glue that in the section that doesn't have the glue seepage on it. It happens, right? So to avoid that, I've never had that happen with just the straight Mod Podge. I have done a test where I did a spray sealer on top of stuff that didn't have the Mod Podge, and then the stuff that did, and they both came out splotchy. I don't know. Can't explain it. So we'll just go with the Mod Podge. It'll be fine. It's not like this is going outside anyway. It'll be fine. Alright, and we're just gonna work on... Now, you don't have to take this down the edge. I'm taking it slightly over the edge. I'm not taking it to, like, all the way down the edge because I'm gonna paint the edge of this guy. I could have just taken it to the edge of the canvas itself on the front side and been like, the heck it, hell with it. But, this is just how I decided to handle it. Slight wraparound. Nothing too excessive. Now, if this was a thick sided thing, like a gallery wrap, that's a little different. If the edge of this was a little bit deeper, a little bit thicker, I probably would wrap it all the way to the edge of the canvas, like on the back side. I did do that on the big project, which is probably why I hate doing this part, because that sucker had like a gallery wrap edge on it, and so I did that to cover the edge. It's not like super pretty, it's solid colors where I need it to be solid, but it's better than nothing being there. And I still have some of that tissue paper color that I used on it, so I could, in theory, color match and add a little bit more color to it and just reseal those sections that get added, but I am fine with it the way it is. It's on the side edge. I mean, who's gonna be looking and critiquing at the side, right? I mean, it was made from tissue paper. I'm sure somebody's gonna find something wrong with it. Right? And to each their own. I know it's not gonna be everybody's cup of tea to be painting with bits of paper. But it works for some of us, right? And, you know, maybe you've got leftover tissue paper from something that you don't know what to do with. It's an option. Like I said, if all you have access to is white tissue paper and you really want to do it, then you can paint it. Just use acrylic paint, that's all. I would recommend trying to like do it in stages, glue down the first part, paint that, and then move on to the next part. Might be a little bit easier, potentially. Okay, get the glue off my fingies here. Okay. And we'll just kind of start adding into here. And the thinner you apply your glue, the faster it's going to dry. So just remember that. If you do like a super thin layer over a large area, I can guarantee you a good chunk of it is probably going to skin up and not be tacky enough to grab the paper. So keep that in mind. Okay. And this part here. And then this one here. I have so many little glue bits stuck to my fingers. It's crazy. It's messy. Messy work. That's okay though. Right? It's just tacky glue. It'll wash off. It'll wash off. It'll peel off. It's fine. I usually hate being sticky. Glue sticky's a little bit different. Food sticky, oh no. Unexplained sticky on my fingers, ew, no. Absolutely not. I was going crazy the one day because every time I washed my hands were sticky. I'm like, I just washed my hands. I used soap. Why am I sticky? I think we finally decided it had something to do with the color of tissue paper I had been twisting. I will say, the one shade I got, I don't know what happened. I can't explain it. The one shade of orange I got, I think it was this orange, smelled like perfume. So bad. And there was like a weird discoloration where it was slightly darker in this one spot. And I'm like, what is this? What spilled on this? Like, did somebody's like Glade plug-in break and it just went everywhere? Like, how did this even happen? I could not figure out why something that was smelly like perfume, but clear, so it was only a slight discoloration, it just looked darker in that spot. How that would have gotten on the entire pack of paper. And me being scent sensitive, I was like, oh no. I don't know if I can use this. I toughed it out, but it's still kind of there. Now, I don't know if that residue is what was making my fingers sticky when I washed them. I guess it's possible. But that was crazy. Hadn't touched anything else but that all day. Okay, so let's rinse that. Okay. Get the next section starting to be laid in here. Okay. I've got like a bunch of short guys now, and I'm like, where'd all the longer ones go? The longer ones kind of making this go a little bit quicker. I love how soft this color is. It makes it a lot easier to work with. I will say that. Alright, so we get this one tucked into there. Okay. And I think we made some damn fine progress on this tonight. What are you doing? Don't be getting into trouble. Animal who I can't see, but definitely heard make a noise. Because, I mean, we did this whole side in this section. Got this played in, got this laid in. I think we are looking just fine. Okay. And try to get this bottom edge here as well as I can. It's a little tricky. Alright, now I think that's a good stopping point for tonight. Because it's starting to get a little late. And I am needing a snack before bed. I am hungry. So, not bad. So, next week, when we get back to this guy again, we're going to finish putting in the dark purple. And then we are going to put in our plant life in the front of this, on top of everything. And then, while that is drying, I'm going to try to get our edges painted up. You know, depending on how things go and how quickly things progress. And then, if everything is dry enough, we'll go ahead and slap on the Mod Podge. But we will see how things go with that. So, thank you guys for hanging out with me this evening and checking out the progress on this guy. We will be streaming again tomorrow. We will be back with some Planet Zoo action, working on that children's zoo. And I'm going to be working on the other boat ride station. Because unfortunately, I could not get the other building to line up exactly where it needed to go to just get plopped in there. So I have to kind of rebuild it from scratch, kind of. But it's going a lot faster because I already know the pieces that we need to put in there. So that's plus. So don't forget to check out that tomorrow night. And we've got social links down below. Those will take you to the Ko-fi, where I have a gallery of stuff that I've done. Art-wise, we've got a link to Blue Sky and a link to the YouTube channel, where you will find the live streams archived in case you only caught part of a project and want to see more of it. Or we also have some gameplay, and then there's some other stuff that hasn't been streamed, like other art projects that you might not have known that I did. So don't forget to check that out, and please subscribe over there. It is free to do so. Unlike subscribing here, it costs money, but it's similar to follow here, in case you don't YouTube very much. I will see everybody tomorrow night, weather and migraine permitting. As long as it's not storming and the doggo's not climbing the walls and I don't have a migraine, then we will be doing Planet Zoo. I will post on Blue Sky if I have to cancel, so make sure that you are following over there. So you guys have a good Friday, and I will see you in the next one.